Build 42 Unstable has been out for just over a month. And folks, there is so much to unpack here. I don't even know where to start. So I'm just going to start with basements. Basements have been a joy to play with and actually explore, but I feel the novelty of them has worn off on me.
I can imagine after seeing 10, 15, 20, it's like, okay, it's another basement. If I don't get some cool loot down here, then it doesn't really matter. Because, like you said, we're not going to build bases down there until we can, maybe if we can build ourselves a way to escape at some point, an alternate way or something like that. But at the moment, basements aren't really usable for anything other than grabbing loot. But I really hope at some point they expand on the basements, but also maybe skyscrapers, bigger, taller buildings, things like that. Because the basement system built in where we can build down farther. They can put more floors down below the ground, but they also built in where we can have more floors above ground as well.
One of the other major things that they introduced in Build 42 was muscle strain. Now, this one's been kind of controversial. People either absolutely hate it and want it removed 100%, or there are people who are okay with it. And now I will defend it. I will say muscle strain is nice because it gives players a way to kind of, in the very early games, you have to deal with hordes more strategically, where in Build 41, you kind of didn't have to worry about it. The only thing you were really worried about when it came to swinging was getting scratched or bit, and that would slow your swing down, which made hordes harder to deal with, or your weapon breaking. Those were the only things you really had to worry about when dealing with hordes, right? I mean, of course, the other things, getting bit from the back, that kind of stuff. But with muscle strain, your character can overexert himself with his muscles, and that makes dealing with hordes or larger groups of these zombies harder.
I think that if you don't like muscle strain, you should just get good, and that's where we should leave that. I have a very like love hate relationship with the muscle strain mechanic because it has gotten me killed a few times in build 42 because I've gotten a too big of a horde following me and had to fight my way through it. I have also pushed through that muscle strain and been able to survive a horde that I didn't think I was going to survive. But I like the aspect of it in Project Zomboid, and I like that it is something that you have to contend with, especially early game, especially when you're strengthening your character. That muscle strain is also, as far as I can tell, based on the characters I've played, it also varies depending on your strength and your fitness. Someone that has less strength and less fitness is going to get muscle strain a lot faster. Someone that has more strength and more fitness is going to get it a lot slower. And I love that fact because it makes you feel even more like you're surviving in this zombie world, this zombie apocalypse. It brings a little bit more realism to it.
Now, I 100% agree with you on this that get good is definitely a valid response. And also your weapon skill and maintenance skill affects how fast you get muscle strain. So as you progress in your levels of your weapon and in your maintenance, you get less and less muscle strain when you're fighting. So it kind of rewards you the longer your character stays alive. However, I will simply state this. It's too punishing for new characters. The other thing is skills. They introduced a lot more skills for their crafting.
Which is good and bad when it comes to Project Zomboid. And it's good because it opens up a lot more opportunity. It opens up a lot more play styles. It opens up a lot more to do, especially if you're somebody that has gotten to the point where you can survive until your character dies of old age. Like you're not going to run out of stuff to do. You're not going to run out of skills to learn. It's bad in the sense that it's already hard enough to learn certain skills if you're somebody that dies early on or struggles to survive or has bad luck or gets bit super early, like, the list goes on. But if you're already struggling to get up to carpentry level 4, I'm not sure how worried you're going to be about learning glassworking level 1 and 2 so you can go make some plates or pottery or something like that.
Now we've heard the good, the bad, but can we hear the ugly? I'm just kidding. Jokes
You just heard them.
aside, But no, I think the skills are amazing, but I am totally with you. I love Project Zomboid, play it a lot. But in Build 42, I have had like 8 to 10 lives, and I still have gotten nowhere near blacksmithing or glassworking or any of the other things. It's cool to know they're there. It's cool to find the books and read them when I get a chance. But I feel like we're not going to be able to unpack all of the skills in the game in this episode because there's so much to do in Build 42 when it comes to these skills. And there's such a long term gameplay style on default for Project Zomboid. And I don't want to necessarily cheat and do admin commands just to kind of give you guys a quick sneak peek of what I thought about it because Project Zomboid is always about the struggle. And without the struggle, these skills are like, oh yeah, I became a blacksmith and it was a lot of fun, but here are my nitpicks about the system. It's actually an important point to point out. In Project Zomboid, the struggle is what makes the skills worth it, but it also makes you appreciate the skills themselves. If I were to just rush to being able to do blacksmithing, I think I would have a lot more complaints about it than I would if I actually struggled to get to blacksmithing. Now you could say,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, whatever," but
Yeah, it's not
no.
gonna mean quite as much if you don't work for it and you don't work to it. You can see the basic mechanics of how it works if you use the admin tools, but you're not gonna see what it's like to get to that point. And to that point, what I would really like to see come back is the I think it was actually a mod. I don't think it was in the vanilla game, but the skills journal where you could make a journal from your character, and as you leveled up you could write that skill down, and then if you found that journal or were able to get that journal back as your next character, you get, if not all of that skill back, you get some of that skill back by reading that journal. I'd like to see that again. That would help, especially if you're playing a solo server. That would help kind of get you those skills faster.
Mention, look at my face. No. I'm just kidding. But well, actually, I'm not. No, I don't want that. But zombie patterns. They changed up how zombies work, and the zombies are supposed to be denser and more of them inside of like urban areas and rural areas. There's supposed to be less of them. And I've experienced this quite a bit. And I will have to say, it's made looting towns and having to make the journey to towns a lot more hectic but rewarding. And I feel like the loot economy also kind of displayed that as well. Urban locations and houses, like the same house in an urban location has a lot more in it than the one in the rural location, right? And I actually enjoy that because it feels like I'm actually getting reward for going into these urban areas and having to deal with the zombies, sneak around them, or honk my horn and lead them down to the soccer field where I can put them inside of the chain link fence.
This was a mechanic I was very skeptical and worried about when they announced it, because to me it sounded like you were going to have massive amounts of zombies in these towns and these populated areas, which makes sense. But then out in the rural areas, out in the farm towns, the on the farms, in the cabin in the middle of nowhere, you weren't really going to have any zombies, and you were going to just spend a lot of time walking cross country or driving cross country and not seeing anything, and it wasn't going to be dangerous. It's not like that at all. It is, but it isn't. You still get the wandering zombies, you still get the occasional wandering horde. You'll still find a car accident that has 3 or 4 zombies walking around it because maybe they were the people in the car, or maybe the car accident sound lured the zombies over there. But when you go into the city, unless you zoom your camera way out before you turn a corner, you might turn a corner and run into 10 zombies standing right there milling around in the middle of the street. That's happened to me a few times, and I've had to just leave town because of it, because I couldn't handle it, with me and my frying pan, just couldn't deal with 10 zombies. Um, I've also found a place out in the middle of nowhere that I'm like, oh man, this place is going to be deserted. It looked kind of like a blacksmithing town or a resort where you would go camp to learn blacksmithing. And I was like, oh, there's 1 or 2 zombies out here. Take care of those 1 or 2 zombies, open the gates, walk inside, walk around the corner of a building, find out that it actually is a resort because there's 10 zombies out here in the middle of nowhere. So it's a very good balance so far. And I was very worried about that, but I think they've done it well so far.
One of the things I think they've done well, is the crafting. And the UI for crafting is I think it needs improvement. It's still kind of rough, but I'm enjoying the fact that I actually have a little bit more of a, I guess, controlled UI for my crafting. I can filter stuff. I can look at potential stuff. I know you can choose to not to see recipes when you're doing setting up your game or see them all. I chose to see them all, but it was kind of cool going through all the potential recipes. And it was cool to know that there are a lot of recipes. If I wish to, I would have to learn eventually, or I wouldn't know about until I learned about them. So I thought that was a really cool element. But one of the things I enjoyed about the crafting was the requirement for a flat surface. It doesn't matter if it's a table, flat rock, etc., etc. They just wanted you to have a surface where you kind of have a control place to put stuff. And I thought at first this was going to be like really problematic because I'm all like, oh, I'm always going to have like a flat rock, a flat boulder or a table. But no, you can actually even find like a flat stone to even do it on. Like when you're foraging, you can find a flat stone just to work on. And I thought that was really nice. One of my complaints though is I shouldn't have to have a flat surface to make a campfire.
Maybe I've just gotten lucky and always been around a flat surface whenever I've tried to craft something, but I haven't really run into a problem crafting anything with with a flat surface. So I'm not sure if that means that there are certain things that you don't need a flat surface for, or like I said, I've just been lucky enough to be close enough to one to where I haven't had to worry about it at all. I the one time I did, I should say, the one time I did was the first time I tried to butcher a rat so that I could have some meat to cook. I had to go find a kitchen with an empty countertop so that I could butcher that small animal or rat or whatever it's called in the crafting UI.
Cooking and butchering is a great segue here. You talked about butchering the rat or rabbit or whatever, and I think the animals in the game so far have been fun. Have been enjoyable, interactable. It was fun finding a cow and then milking it for some milk, drinking it, and then making my guy ill because I drank raw milk. But it's funny. It's good. It's enjoyable. None of the times have I actually hated the animals. Like I was driving my car and I'm like, oh, I need to stop somewhere to get some food. And a rabbit ran right in front of me. And so I stopped the car, went and picked up my roadkill, and that was my dinner for the night. Like it was kind of cool. I have yet to hit a deer. I did drive through a horde of zombies because I wasn't paying attention, but I guess that could be considered, livestock.
That's roadkill too.
But
My first encounter with the animals was kind of made me laugh actually. I was actually running from a horde of zombies as I do usually. And I'm trying to get away, trying to save this character, and I start hearing this noise and like it kind of sounds like pigs, and it doesn't click in my head yet that there's animals in build 42. I know there are, but I'm not used to seeing them yet, so it didn't really click that I'm hearing like pigs in front of me. So I'm running down the road. I come across this little tiny square pin, and there's two pigs like running the square of the fence with a zombie chasing them. And just the pigs are squealing and running, the zombies running, and I'm running from a horde of zombies and just start laughing because it was just comical to me. Because then the zombie stops chasing them and turns and tries to climb the fence and falls over the fence. Um, so that was a funny experience. And then you should also see me trying to catch and kill a chicken with a barbecue fork because that's the only weapon I had at the time. It worked. I've done it twice now, but it was definitely fun just sprinting after a chicken and trying to stab it with the barbecue fork until I was able to take it out and butcher it. But I mean, I had chicken that night, so it must have been well done.
I love it. I could just imagine you chasing it with a barbecue fork. Good memories. Funny memories. But folks, I have been so far though impressed with Build 42. There are minor things that need to be tweaked, some things to be improved, some things that don't need to be touched at all. But overall, Build 42, I will say so far, mind you, I haven't experienced all of it, has kind of lived up to the hype for at least my expectations.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Build 42. I definitely expected a lot more issues, which I'm glad there wasn't because of how much time was put into this and how long we waited for it. But I definitely did expect a lot more issues than what I've personally experienced so far. Like you said, there are some things that I don't think they need to mess with anymore. I think they're working well as they are. But then there are other things that adjustments, need tweaks, need additions. But that's why we're playing unstable right now. That's why we don't have a full release, because build 42 isn't done yet. They're going to add more. They're going to take away more. They're going to fix more. We have so much ahead of us in build 42 itself before we move on to the next build, that we have a lot to look forward to. I can't wait till multiplayer for build 42 comes out, because I have other people that are already asking and have been asking to learn Project Zomboid and kind of get a world going and get a world together.
Well, folks, if you're interested in supporting the podcast, we often put most of our episodes and members first only for at least 24 hours or until the episode goes public, which we put out one episode a week. We really appreciate the support. Thank you for watching the State of Survival podcast. Join me in welcoming and thanking Dimension 119 and Red Falcon for helping keeping this podcast going. Thank you for watching. To talk for now.
See you in another dimension.